today's episode of Be Freaking Awesome. I'm one of your hosts, Sammy Kinnison, here with Angela Belford, and today we are joined by Rebecca P. Murray, and we are going to be continuing our series on Fun February, if you will. We, in our quest for this year to be seeking out the answers to how we live a freaking awesome life, we really just feel like there's a lot of elements and aspects of fun that we can explore, engage, dive into. So we're here today to continue the conversation. Rebecca, let me throw it over to you to just give yourself a chance to introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Okay, thank you, Sammy and Angela, for having me on the show. This is the perfect month. It is my birthday month. Birthdays should always be fun. I know, 63, coming right around the bend on the 9th. And part of I think having fun in life is accepting where you are, wherever you are, whatever age you are, to take center stage of your life and fulfill your dreams while having the time of your life, having fun. I am a communications trainer, so I work with others to help them shine on stage or shine wherever they show up, finding their voice and their confidence. And I am a believer that confidence and fun go together. Like, confidence is really fun, feeling of confidence. I'm also a keynote speaker and an MC, a very entertaining one. I have a lot of fun in that space as well.
That is great. Thanks so much, Rebecca. And I know that you and Angela know each other through different speaking associations and things like that. So we're excited to have you here today.
Excited to be here.
Yes. Welcome, Rebecca. She and I are both members of the National Speakers Association North Texas chapter, which is intriguing to me because neither of us live in Texas. So what we love about that, you're in Washington, right?
Yes.
And I'm in Arkansas. So, but what's awesome is that there is a virtual membership, and it is one of the strongest chapters. Some would argue the strongest chapter in the nation. It happened. I picked it because that's where my friends in Arkansas go. But why did you pick North Texas? What's that?
Well, same kind of thing. I was speaking in a leadership summit this summer, and 3 out of the 5 of us were members of North Texas NSA. And so when I reached out to each of the speakers afterward, just to find out more about them and that kind of thing, and each of them revealed that to me, then Yoram Solomon invited me to a meeting, which was right around the corner, and I was hooked instantly. I felt like, where has this been all my life?
Right. Well, and we had a podcast episode where we debated the truth of if you become like the 5 people you hang out with. I'll put the episode number in the show notes because it was intriguing. It's more than the 5 people. But what I was struck by when I first joined NSA, and I've only been a member for 6 months or less, I was like, oh, I am probably, I don't know, I'm probably not the least experienced person, but certainly way less experienced person in this room. Oh, this is going to help me because I want to rise to the level of the people that were there. And it's an impressive lineup in NSA North Texas. So thank you so much. In case those of you, it is not, again, if you weren't tuning in, listening on the drive, that is not the national, it's not listener. Oh crap! I forgot what NSA stands for.
National Speaker Association.
No, but the government one.
Oh, the government one.
And,
National
NSA,
Security Administration.
Yeah, whatever it is that listens to you. This is the speaking version. NSA, the speakers, National Speaker Association. So if you're a speaker out there and you're interested in like how to improve yourself, then you might consider NSA North Texas as a place to go. Back to you, Sammy.
Angela, well, just while we're here on this little side tangent for a moment, though, I do think it's interesting. You had joined Toastmasters a long while ago to improve your speaking and to be around other people who wanted to develop their speaking skills and their speaking habits. And interestingly, when you look around the people who are all in the room with you, you are probably within your local chapters one of the top, if not the top speaker I mean, I don't actually know. I'm not in Toastmasters, but you're one of the top ones. You've competed internationally with it. And
Mm-hmm.
so for you to join a room where that's not the case is
Yeah.
a really good example of how people can continue to seek new stepping stones and how
Mm-hmm.
you can grow. But you also have not left Toastmasters entirely, because you being in that room can help people grow and develop their skills by surrounding themselves with you.
It's funny that you say that, because I actually, for the first time in a while, did not renew my Toastmaster membership, because I was like, I just need to step back. I need a moment. I had capacity, and so even though I'm no longer a member of Toastmasters, I do still love. I get invited back a lot to speak, and it is
Mm-hmm.
fun to be the person that other people aspire to speak to. I needed to grow. I've been a member for 15 years, and I needed to grow, yeah, my skill set. So thanks for highlighting that, Sammy.
Yeah, Angela, that's another thing we have in common. I've been involved with Toastmasters for a very long time, and that same boat
Oh,
as you, that mentor now, and the one that's constantly being sought out to speak here and there. But when I met one of those speakers at that leadership thing, I met with Randy Pennington, who's a North Texas member, and he said, "You know what you need, Rebecca? You don't need someone like me who's way ahead of you, in terms of years and experience. You need someone just ahead of you, like a lap
yes.
ahead of you." And you'll
Yeah.
find that at North Texas. And when I spoke to Yorm Solomon, I've considered him my big brother. I'm his adopted little sister. And so he's a
Oh,
person I very often will call, if I have a question in the speaking business. But it's great to be, like you said, surrounded by people who are in the same boat, but some are boats ahead, and we can look forward and learn from
yeah.
them.
Yeah, indeed.
Speaking of learning from others, I'm going to transition us into our topic today about fun. Rebecca, one of the things that I think is really intriguing just from your presence on your website and how you interact with other people is that you want to provide communication training that's fun. And you don't just want to provide, it seems like, boring corporate training is not what you are about, not in your wheelhouse, and making things to be entertaining and making it engaging. Tell us a little bit about that and why that is so important to you.
Well, for years and years, I was a dog trainer for about 12 years. And, if you've ever trained a dog, you know that it needs to be fun for any animal to learn. Like, I'm enjoying this. I want to do it more. I want to do it more. Where's the game? Gamifying everything. So then working with humans, not much different. Yeah, is it possible to learn if you're not having fun? I mean, really? Is it possible?
I would
Yeah.
argue yes, only because as a parent of two toddlers right now, um, I one of the things that I've noticed though, it sounds like a funny setup, but then I was gonna take it deep while Angela's laughing at me. And comparing different like parenting styles and things like that, and even like generational parenting styles, I think fear based
Mm,
discipline and parenting was really a big um
Parenting
part of
style.
how you teach kids in the past, whereas now that's really becoming less popular. It's more of the gentle parenting, more of the how can I engage in a different way? How can I make it fun? Whereas, but I do think that and maybe it's that people can learn fear, but it's not going to stick as well. You're not going to want to do it.
yeah.
But fear-based learning, I think, does exist, and I would say it's probably not good for anybody.
Yeah, that's true. They say that fear is the most powerful motivator. We will do more to avoid something than to um, move toward something. We're willing to risk
Mhm.
more to not lose out. And so that's a very good point about parenting. And I must say too, I'm just thinking it's more about, I guess, interactive fun really is the thing. So you get
Yeah.
people enjoying and participating and really creating the fun themselves, and so that's takes the pressure off of me as a trainer, because once you get the ball rolling, it sort of rolls itself, because everybody's rolling it together and enjoying each other. There's more memory involved in having fun as well, more positive association and memory.
Well, and I
I,
could think that while we could still use fear-based tactics to teach people how to improve anything, is that the kind of world that we want to build or live in? I think it's
right.
probably when we're thinking about even our question that we're asking this year is how to live a freaking awesome life. Any type of fear-based approach, I would say, is not necessarily what's going to lead us towards living well and living intentionally. And so I love that you prompt people to and encourage them to learn in a more open and probably in a more safe way, because in order to have fun with people, I would imagine, especially in work environments, is creating some safety and just setting up the playground for them.
Yes, I love that metaphor, setting up the playground, making sure the sandbox is safe for everyone. Absolutely, safety is a big, big part of it.
I love that. And just so you know, Rebecca, it is often that when I make a statement, Sammy will kind of call BS on it and be like, well, actually, I was just listening to a previous episode and I'm like, I hear that if I'm active listening, you are calling BS on me. And so it's funny to watch. I'm like, oh, this is, she's doing it to somebody else. Well, yeah, technically you can learn. I would say when we're laughing, we're learning for sure. And there is I think it is super effective. One of the things that I love, Rebecca, in like just kind of digging into some of the stuff that you talk about is you have an interesting approach to courage and confidence. And you see those as there's actually an order of operations. And
Mm-hmm.
until you said it to me, I had not really thought about it. So tell us what your definition of courage and confidence, and then what order do we need to put those in?
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the patterns that I saw throughout my life, and I really started paying attention to it about 6 or so years ago, and a creative idea would fly into my head. I mean, something kind of out of the box. And I would mull it over and think, yeah, I'm going to do that. That is going to be fun. Oh my gosh, people are going to look at me and go, whoa, what is up with you? You're so brave. But the more I would think about it, then this other thought would fly into my brain, and it would say, you know what, people are going to think that you are off your rocker. No one's going to laugh. No one but you will think it's funny. You shouldn't waste your time doing it. So this creativity was paired with doubt every single time. Like I could count on it. And once I started realizing this pattern, then I started thinking, okay, what if I looked at doubt differently? What if I looked at doubt as a trigger, like a motivator, a message that basically said to do it. My dear friend, doubt is here. That's a trigger for me that I'm on the right path. And so the courage and doubt, like you can't have one without the other. There would be no such thing as courage unless there was doubt to counter it. Like there's no such thing as love without fear, these opposites that balance each other. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to use my doubt to summon my courage. That's a trigger for me to summon my courage. And then what I need to do with my courage is take action. And so then what comes after is knowledge. Once you take action, knowledge of some sort, knowledge of,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this didn't work out so well, or knowledge of I need to go in a different direction, knowledge this was awesome, move forward. So knowledge and experience go together. Those come next. And then what follows that, if we allow ourselves to, is confidence. And this is what I call the confidence equation. It starts with doubt as a trigger, leading to courage, which then leads to knowledge and experience because we're taking action, learning. And then we move into the confidence zone. But what happens to most people is that the knowledge and experience, the experience doesn't work out like they planned. It doesn't meet their expectation. And so they go right back to the doubt and say, you know what, you were right. I should have listened. I shouldn't have done it. Instead of savoring the confidence zone, like I learned something, I won, and then move on from there. So that's what I call the
Okay, you're gonna
confidence
have to
equation.
pause because holy cow, hold on a second, because All right, so the doubt is going to inspire us to courage. I love that. But when you said, when I summon my courage and I try something, you kind of blew me away because I was thinking I either succeeded or it failed. And you gave three options for us. You were like, I learned something that didn't work out. You talk about it like it's a win, which it
Yeah,
is,
it's a win.
but I
Yep.
love how you talk about it, right? It's a win because you figured out something that didn't work out. It didn't work out the way you were thinking that it would. That was, I think, the second one. Or it did work and it was awesome. You almost like said the it's awesome as an aside, like, and I love how you're approaching that because it's like we all want to have experience, and really experience is figuring out all the ways that don't work,
Yeah.
and all the ways that things you can't do. I mean, when I look at, like, I'll give a silly example, but like when we do event planning, I am a strong event planner now because I know what can go wrong. I was brought into a meeting and they were like, "We've planned everything." And they planned everything as long as everything went perfectly. And I asked about 97 questions and they were like, "Oh my gosh." And that's what made me good, is all the times I failed, it hadn't gone the way I thought about it. And you're
Yes.
right, because then when it doesn't go like we want, then we revert back to the doubt again and almost add. Okay, I'm sorry. My brain is a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah. And
like,
then the
you almost
shame
add
is
weight.
hiding. Yes.
And yeah, and you're almost giving a vote to the doubt instead
Yes.
of giving a vote to the experience and saying, like, oh, okay, what part of this equation? You've become an imbalanced equation because you're giving doubt your vote of going like, oh, I should have listened to it. Super cool. I love this.
Exactly. Exactly. I have a character. We all know her. She's a villainous. She's vile and she's insanely funny. Her name is Shame. So she's part of this my one woman show. I have these different characters that come when I do it in person in full form. When I'm doing a keynote, she comes on the screen as herself and she sings these horrible, horrible songs that we've all played in our heads. But and people will watch her up on the screen as if she is real because we all know her and
Mm.
the way the way we talk to ourselves sometimes. And so this putting together this one woman show and bringing these metaphors or these experiences, like personifying them, is really powerful for people. And we can laugh at it too. We can laugh at it.
Yeah, there are times when my husband will say things like, "Oh, I'm not even going to tell you what I'm thinking. It's so ridiculous." And I'm like, "No, no, no, say it, say it, say it." Because if we don't say the ridiculous things out loud, they seem so real in our head
Mm-hmm.
and so big. And I can imagine that that's the way this shame personification is like shame feels so big and so heavy and so scary, and you're lonely battling shame by yourself. But when we can pull it out, and then most of the time our fear and the things that are rooted in shame are ridiculous. Like, it's laughable, some of the stuff that we like is bouncing around in our head that sounds rational until I say it out loud, and then I'm like, oh gosh, I didn't even realize how dumb that sounds.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I was letting it run the ship for me. I was letting it run my life until I said it out loud and then realized that's so silly.
I had never
It,
thought about this, but the metaphor that just popped into my brain was giving a voice to shame, like saying it out loud, can be like turning on the lights and turning off the music at a haunted house. Like if you turn on the lights and you turn off the music, you're like, well, this is weird. And like, I mean, imagine like the things that you walk through in a haunted house. If all of the lights were on and no music was playing, no scary sounds, you're just like, huh, well,
It's
that seems
spaghetti.
ridiculous. Like, yeah, that's not a bowl of brains. That's a bowl of spaghetti. Why would you put a bowl of spaghetti right there? I don't know, whatever it might be. And I think that could then add humor to it. You could make it, it's very, it can be scary, and bringing some levity to it can help make it easier to face it and
oh,
to look
yes,
at it
yes.
head on.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
My thought whenever you were first talking about doubt prompts us to courage. Sometimes we talk about do something that scares you, or like if your dreams aren't big enough to scare you, maybe you're not dreaming big enough, or whatever that might be, you might be
Mm-hmm.
playing too safe. I think for me sometimes where I have distance with that, it'd be like, well, I don't know what scares me. Like, what do you mean that scares me? Have dreams that are so big, it scares me. But I do know what it's like to have dreams that fill me with doubt. And I don't know that I
Mm.
have ever so closely associated doubt and fear, but they are. I definitely agree that those are associated. And that's sort of new for me. I'm like, it's rumbling through my brain all of the times that I doubt myself, or that I say, who are you to say this thing, or to offer this thing, or to try help somebody? That's the doubt, which is, kind of the sister to fear at times.
Well, that's what I
I
was thinking
really liked
too.
that.
When she was saying like that your doubt is gonna, that's your trigger to invoke your courage, and I was like, wait, that's what fear does. But then what you're just that nuance, oh, a dollar to the car. We say nuance probably every episode, Rebecca, because we're what I'm finding is that there's so much of life, it's just not black and white. There's so much gray, right? There's so many just different levels. And even in thinking about that I don't know that I've thought about the difference between doubt and fear. And oh, let's go ahead and do a webinar or a masterclass and invite people in to try our product. And yeah, we do begin to doubt ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Pitch myself
Yes.
as a public speaker. The and I am curious, how would you define the difference between doubt and fear? Because they
Well,
are.
they might be a little different, but really, I think at the root of all of it is fear. And I take this from my dog by years and years of dog training. So I don't know if you've ever seen any of these funny videos of dog shaming on YouTube, where somebody will, for no reason whatsoever, the dog will be over in the corner and they'll say, "Did you do this? Did you do this? I see you did this." And then the dog's cowering over there, and there's nothing that the dog did. They made the whole thing up, but the dog's still cowering in the corner. You cannot shame a dog, but you can very easily scare a dog. And dogs don't have doubt either. Like, they'll keep trying and trying and trying. So we as humans, there's really, the fear is at the root of all of this. It's really fear. And then shame is one flavor of fear. Doubt is another flavor of fear. But really, it's just at the
Mm.
root of it. It's just fear.
Mm.
Well, but I think you're making, but even like what Sammy was just saying, by explaining and calling it doubt and not fear, because you can be like, I'm not afraid, I can send an email. I'm not afraid, I can do a post on social media. But doubt does feel just a little bit different. It feels a little more subtle. It doesn't feel, but it will hold us back just as easily. And you're right, it is the bottom line. There's
Yeah.
something about it that I'm with Sammy. I'm like, this is
I
I got a
think
little
the
brain
words "what
worm.
if" feel very doubt centric. Like, what if they don't respond back? What if they don't like me? What if no one claps? And for me, those are doubt centric
Mm-hmm.
thoughts.
Mhm.
The what if.
So, how can we use fun to help us sort of interrupt that process, and that maybe even to prompt courage, or things like that? Are there tips or ideas that you have around incorporating just a more lighter approach?
Yeah. I think the whole thing about winning, like, you're always winning. You're winning as
Mm.
long as you're moving forward. I took up pickleball this year. I took up tap dancing this year. These are brand new things for me. And I see every time I play, pickleball is a great example, because you are trying to quote unquote win. And when you're being beat badly, like badly, and I have been beat very, very badly many, many times, I have this conversation in my head where I'm telling myself exactly what we're talking about here. Have fun, smile on the outside, which helps. And you know what? You're learning, you're winning because you're learning. you're winning because you're learning. And and I'll say that to my partner too, that she'll hit it into the net, and we'll celebrate it, and I'm like, you know what, we just learned something. So I think it's the reframing. Learning is winning, trying is winning, everything's winning. And yes, it does feel good to win, but um, is if you're redefining win as all these other things, then you can constantly be having fun as a result. And I would much rather do that and be the person on the court who's having fun versus the person who's grimacing because they're doing, they're hitting the ball here and there, and they're not meeting their own expectations.
I, as a recovering perfectionist, so hard for me. I want it to be easy, and golly, I just I've been working to sort of reroute these neural pathways of mine that have for a long time told me, like, if you're not doing it perfect, then you're not doing it right. You can't keep doing it. You might as well stop. And I think that being a parent has helped me a lot because my 5-year-old does not care if he is good at something. He just loves to do it. And I think what's one of the things that has inspired me lately is like to do things for the sake of doing them. And I'll admit, for anybody out there who is similar to me, it is a practice. It is a daily and sometimes more often than just daily reminder of it is okay to do things for the sake of doing things and for just the enjoyment and the fun that you're having in the moment, the
Yeah.
time that you're spending with people, the movement you're feeling in your body, the learning, whatever that is. And it can, just to reassure anybody who might be saying, well, like, that sounds, you're saying it so simply, but it's not, that doesn't always work. It doesn't work for me quite so simply either, other than practice, other than I'm now probably 5 to 6 years into this journey of reminding myself and helping to encourage doing things just because you can.
Well, I want to bring it to the nervous system for a second, even though we're all, I was going to say, we're not talking about nervous system. We're always talking about nervous system around here. But I'm imagining one of the things that I say all the time, if you get activated into your fight, flight, or freeze, if you take a deep breath, you send the message to your brain that you are not in danger. Because when you're outrunning a lion or a bear or the neighborhood dog, you are, literally your body will not let you take a deep breath. And so if you consciously take a deep breath, it begins sending the signal that you're safe. And I think about this idea of laughing your way through learning and what you're saying about messing up on pickleball by you like making yourself laugh and choosing laughter at that moment, you're sending the message to your brain, we're safe, which then is going to thwart the whole shame process as well. Because if you're safe, then you don't have to worry about the protection needed to keep you from messing up. Well, it's like, oh, well, this can't be that bad. We're all laughing here, right?
Yes. Yeah, that is a great point. Like your brain, that's what your brain takes as safety, is I'm enjoying myself, I'm laughing. So, but we take control of that by laughing and
Yes.
smiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you've ever
Well, and
taken
Angela,
laughter, oh, go ahead.
well, Angela, this goes into what we talked about last fall with the motivational triad, and that it sort of hits on two of the three sides of it. There's one point that's avoid pain. And so I could imagine, if we're playing pickleball and we do poorly, there's a part of that that's like, oh, is this embarrassing? Is this, am I bad? Am I letting somebody down? Am I, I don't know, whatever the thoughts might
Yeah.
be. Am I ruining my reputation in front of this team? Or am I seeking pleasure and
Yep.
am I finding fun in this? Am I enjoying it? Am I like, well, laughing at whatever happened? I can sort of push us from that avoid pain part to the seek pleasure. And by seeking pleasure, avoid the pain as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
For
Some of
sure.
those
And I
core
would say it's,
motivations.
well, and when you're laughing, you're also staying flexible and you're not getting rigid because, I mean, you've seen the people. My husband talked to, especially our son, was self-described an athlete. I would say Sammy was self-described a band member, and my son was a athlete. And we talked a lot about the mental toughness that it requires in sports, and that ability to just shake it off,
Hmm.
which when you laugh will keep you flexible, which will then use the third motivational triad for being efficient, because you're not jerky and stiff in that. Rebecca, you talk about laughter, using laughter as a catalyst for change. And so tell us a little bit more about, maybe so you can share a story about how laughter has really helped somebody with change, or um,
Yeah.
I'm so,
Well,
yeah, how did you get started even in that?
well, a couple of years ago, I started doing work with the Boys and Girls Clubs, and this last year, it's been about a year now. I'm working at the high school I'm working with high school students a couple of days a month, and we do improv exercises. So basically, what Rebecca does, Miss Rebecca, is I think of things throughout the week, like what would be fun to try. Well, there it's like an experiment every time I walk into the room. So I'll just look around the house, or if I have an idea, I'll jot it down. And then these kids know me well enough now that they trust me. And at the beginning, there were like some kids that were 100% already primed for improv. Like, I'm going to jump in with both feet and I'm going to pretend I'm in another world and we're going to have a conversation. And I pride myself on being an excellent audience. So I provide a lot of laughter and encouragement through laughter for them. I mean, almost to the point of hysterical laughter, and they love it. Like, they love having me in the audience. That's what I feel like is really, um, I set
Your
the
plant.
exercise up, and then I sit back and I enjoy them and let them know that. And so that encouragement through laughter is like rocket fuel for these kids. I mean, then some of the ones in the back are like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't know if I'm. They'll start tiptoeing toward the front of the class, and they're like, could I? And then they'll be in there, and then they get some laughs. We all know how good it feels when you're seeking laughs to get laughs. And
Mm-hmm.
so the confidence, they gave me this really big. The Boys and Girls Club in Skagit County gave me this huge award, this honor, this big honor, totally unexpected this year. And really, it was, when they were describing it, um, it was at this dinner thing, and they're up there giving awards out to kids, and all of a sudden they get up there and they're describing the person, and I looked at the person next to me and I said, that's weird. Somebody else teaches improv? I mean, I had no idea that this was going to be given to me. They were describing me. And one of the things they said is, that it's that confidence building in these little opportunities to be on stage, to be appreciated, to know that you're um, hitting the mark because somebody's enjoying you. I mean, somebody's enjoying you and laughing and connecting. And it's just ratcheted up the confidence in these kids. And it's the biggest gift that I receive is when I see them more willing to try, to try. And yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, actually.
It does. It was beautiful. Like, it was a roundabout question, and it.
Well, and
Sorry.
I think that so much, that's beautiful. Just thank you for sharing that with us. And it sounds like the honor is very well deserved to not only, you said the gift to you that when the kids are willing to kind of come out of their shell, but I would bet that you are giving those kids a gift that those kids might carry with them the rest of their lives. That I got to stand up and perform and be enjoyed and I entertained, and
Yeah,
almost that seeing them
yeah,
within that
Mhm.
can be just such a validating experience, golly, especially for teenagers and high schoolers who everything is just it's just hard to be a teenager
it
and
is.
to
Ah.
there's just so much about it. But what I think I would love to just apply for people as like a lesson to take away is how can you create that for somebody else?
Mm.
Yes, it's always great for somebody to create that for us and also be the change you want to see in the world. Start with you
Mhm.
first, which also sounds like part of what you did is being the first person to, laugh quickly and be engaged and finding ways to create that space for somebody else to be enjoyed and
Yeah.
to be able to then have fun and build their own confidence. I think that can help bosses in the workplace. How can you lift up your employees in that way? That can help parents with
Mm.
their kids. How can you be sure to enjoy them? Friends, building relationships. If you're
Yeah.
feeling lonely and you want to build those connections, be an easy laugh. I mean, I don't know. That's
Thank you. I was just thinking, I wonder if it's because I'm a public speaker that I was like, wait, there's one more lesson that we need to take away, and that is laugh easy. Why are we so chintzy with our laughs? Like one of the things in Toastmasters I love to do is be an easy audience,
Yes.
and I don't make people work really hard for a laugh
Yes.
because and I think that there's a generosity of spirit, and it could come back to my days back in college when was I we had a coffee house in the dorms, and when the guys were switching between bands, you had like a 20-minute set or 25-minute set. While they were all swapping out their equipment, I ended up doing stand-up comedy. And I for a long time, I mean probably a year and a half I did this, and people would sit there and go, "You're a stand-up comedian, make me laugh."
Yes.
And I have said, my husband has asked me repeatedly, why do you not go back to stand up comedy? And I'm like, because if I tell people that I'm a professional development speaker and I make them laugh for 45 minutes, they think I'm brilliant.
Yes. Yes.
They're walking in thinking that they're getting a conference speaker and they're actually getting a stand up comedian. And I sometimes will be like, okay, you guys got to stop laughing because I'm just a comedian looking around for an audience. So the more you laugh, just keep me sitting here entertained. So I think it's,
Angela, one time though, you were accused of being too easy of a laugh,
oh gosh, I
by
was
your
waiting for this, talking
speaking
about
of
teenagers.
snotty teenagers. Yeah. Your teenage son, my younger brother, well, just also some context. I would joke a lot growing up, probably like teenage years and early 20s. At least my mom thinks I'm funny. Like I think I made a Twitter hashtag for a while and I would just like I would share joke, I'd say something and nobody would laugh and be like, "Well, at least my mom thinks I'm funny," and kind of move on. It was always my like, who cares? Nobody laughed. My mom thinks I'm funny, so I can keep going. And then Josh, previous one of the hosts of the podcast, he one time got mad at Angela because he was like, "You laugh too easily at my jokes, and now my standard is so ruined. And I tell my friends jokes, and they don't laugh at it. And how could you do this to me? You need to raise the bar and expect better of me. You can't laugh at these jokes." And it was so funny that he was mad
You
at
know what my
her.
response was? Is my response is your friends are lame, so not even dropping to that standard. Number one, and if that's my worst parenting, okay.
Yeah, how dare
Yeah,
you laugh
really.
at my jokes too much? Can't believe you. Kind of
That's
mom.
so
This It's in the same bucket of like, "Ugh, mom keeps believing in my dreams. And even though I'm not sure that I want to go to Dallas anymore or become a professional disc golfer, she keeps like giving me gifts to do this. Oh, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's so hard
That's
to
a
have a
legit
mom who
argument that my children.
believes in you and laughs at your jokes. What a horrible life you have. Um, I mean, but the whole thing is just, it's kind of funny though. Snotty
Sammy
teenagers
has
who
literally had to coach her siblings and say, if you don't want that dream, you better tell mom you don't want the dream, and she'll stop believing in it. But until you tell her, she will not stop believing in her
Oh, that's
dreams.
wonderful. What a great
Anyway,
mom
it's
you are. Wow. And I do
well, I
agree with
give what I
you.
wanted.
The whole thing about being a great audience, because so many people don't realize what they look like when they're sitting in the audience, and they can have that face that is easily mistaken for I hate you.
Resting
You know
cranking
so what I'm
face,
saying?
we'll call
Like
it,
somebody's up on
nervically.
the stage and they see some scary faces and they may just be enjoying it or thinking deeply, but I'm very conscious of my face now, especially as I get older, because gravity pulls it down much easier. So it takes a little more effort to, to get things up in the upward. So I'm constantly thinking about that. Like, I look better when I smile. That's one of the reasons I smile a lot. To, give yourself a facelift, basically. But while you're giving yourself a facelift, you also give yourself a mind lift. So why not? Why not?
Yeah.
And I did want to tell one quick story about my stand-up comedy experience. I tried stand-up comedy twice. Once I dated Bill Nye back in the late 80s, Bill Nye the Science Guy. Mm-hmm.
What?
So I don't know if
we're just going to bury this deep in the episode. This is not, hi, my name's Rebecca Murray. And just so you guys know, I once dated Bill Nye. That's not what we're leading with. Oh my gosh. So, keep going. I have to know more of the story.
Okay. I know that I became an instant celebrity with those high school kids as soon as I revealed this information about Bill. So, and I have pictures, that I brought in to show him. He was a fabulous dancer.
Bill,
but anyway,
just
this
first
was
name basis.
Bill. This was back when Bill was trying to be a stand-up comic, and he would be like the warm-up act for these comedians at different bars and venues. So I would go with him. We'd go on his motorcycle, and I only got about half of his jokes. But I was in Toastmasters back then and entered a humorous speech contest. And he said, there's no better way for you to improve than to do open mic night at the Seattle Underground. So this, basically it's like going to Baskin Robbins. You take a number. I got on around midnight. Couldn't see anything. It was when, the room's filled with smoke and people have been drinking for hours. And I go up there with my squeaky clean Toastmaster humorous speech. It totally bombed, of course. No laughing. I think there was some heckling in the back. And I told myself I'm never doing that again. It felt so bad. That's it. But then about 5 years ago, I said, you know what? I can't put that chapter out like that. That's it. I didn't do well, so I'm not ever doing it again. That's not me. So I took a 5-week course and then went down in front of 350 people down in Seattle. And I bombed again. And so on the way back, and I've recorded it this time. I recorded it from myself and a friend who drove down. Now, he did brilliantly, by the way. So imagine this. You've just bombed in front of 350 people. And then you're sitting next to a person driving an hour and a half back who just blew it out of the water. And he's like, I can't wait to watch that video. I can't wait to send it to all my friends and family. And I'm thinking to myself, as I'm everything that we talked about in the very beginning of the episode, the doubt, the trying, converting to winning, that had been heavily on my mind leading up to this. And I was starting to live it. So as we're going northbound and I'm trying to feel happy for him with all of my might, I started thinking, I'm going to use this energy. I'm going to use this energy that I'm feeling right now. I mean, I was overwhelmed with energy, and I'm going to channel it into something productive tomorrow. And I crafted a very, very funny keynote called Fall Forward to Embrace Your Inner Winner, had these different characters, gave it the next week. I mean, the thing is, when we don't meet our expectations, I find that, hey, winning feels good. Winning feels good for a moment. It's a flash in the pan. But when you don't meet your expectations and you don't win like you thought, that energy is more powerful and longer lasting. And I have learned to love that energy and to harness it into something else. So that's, I love winning and I don't love, I mean, the classic definition of winning and not winning. I love them both equally.
I love that so much. I have to tell my humorous speech contest worst story. I'm going to one-up you a little bit. Not really, on humor speech contest. I actually won our club. I won our area. I won our division. And I finally go to district. And I had gotten beat at division several times. So I was super excited to get to the district contest. And my mentor he had won the internationals contest. So he was at the district conference,
Ooh,
and he was
wow.
competing also on a different
Mm-hmm.
day, but he was there. So I was sitting next to him, and I come off the stage, and he says, "You wrecked it. You took out all the funny parts." I'm like,
Oh,
"I know, Dick. I just sat through nobody laughing." But he like says it so anybody around could hear. "You ruined it. You took out all the funny parts." I'm like, "Thanks,
oh,
Dick.
that
I
must have
appreciate
felt
you." That was his name, Dick
horrible.
Suits, by the way. I wasn't calling him name. Anyway, I have laughed forever about him doing that because it actually, yes, it probably would have felt horrible, except that I was so shocked that he said it that it actually did make me laugh. And I got over the horribleness. I was like, I
And
finally make it to division, and then
it makes for a good story too, that somebody can say something like that, that like when I hear that, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way, Sammy, somebody says that to
Mhm.
somebody who's coming off of a stage who already feels bad, and to say
I
something
knew
like
I didn't
that,
do good.
uh, and I'm sure he didn't mean it to come out like that, but
Mm-mm.
people say
Mm-mm.
things. People say things. That sometimes the duct tape is a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, when you
Angela,
choose
I
a
think
mentor that's 85, you're kind of on your own. He just says what he says and didn't care. Go
in
ahead.
addition, Angela, though, I know Dick passed away a couple years ago, and it was really hard
Buddy.
for you. And um, I feel like some of his candidness is something that has stuck with you in
Mm.
a way. I mean, to like, just in remembering him and remembering that sometimes you can just call a spade and be like, "Wow, I just messed it up," and I don't know. There's a tricky balance. It does not always
Mm-hmm.
work to just call something out right away.
Yeah,
And
right away.
because of the relationship you had and because of
Mm-hmm.
just who he was and that personality. Anyway, I think that that's an interesting just way that he has sort of stuck with you at times. So like it just is, sweetie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was not. There was no judgment. It was all love.
Mm-hmm.
I did choose him. Well, and what's fun is that because he and I were in the same club, we battled hard against each other. And whenever he beat me, I would, cheer for him. And when I beat him, he would cheer for me. And so we often did battle. And when I won division international contest and got ready to go to the world championship of speaking, I drove an hour to his house every week for months. He was my
Wow.
coach that, because I knew he would tell me like it
Yeah.
was. And so
Yeah.
I probably did 3 or 4 months where I drove down an hour away so that his sweet wife would make me dinner, and then we would go down to the basement, and we would just work on my speech. And the generosity that he had. And you're right, there was a lot of relationship that he could do, or that he would allow him to say such a thing. But I still will never forget. I know it wasn't funny. Stop it. Anyway.
Yes, people would have been laughing more. I could hear them. Or not. Right.
No kidding. Oh my goodness. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming. Go ahead, Sammy.
Oh, I was going to ask Rebecca, we like to ask our guests, is there anything you'd like to leave the listeners with? Any last piece of advice or just overall message that you hope people carry away from today?
Yeah. One message, one thing that I learned is when I am struggling and I'm in the throes of doing something that requires me to summon my courage. Courage isn't feeling courageous isn't necessarily a good feeling. It's a feeling that's fraught with some stress. Feeling confidence, that's a good feeling. That's like, it's over. I feel awesome. But in the throes of courage, that it doesn't feel good very often. But I'll look myself in the mirror and I'll answer this question: who am I doing this for? I'm doing it for me. I'm doing this for me. And that, for me, helps me to say that out loud so my own ears can hear it. You're doing it for you. You're doing it for you. And you get through it. No matter what happens, you're a winner. every single time you use your courage, you win, period.
I think that's really great. I feel like that's also a good, sometimes like a framer for things. If I'm not doing it for me, I got some internal work to look at. You know, am I doing this to try and impress somebody? Am I doing this
Yes.
to achieve some type of status or whatever it might be? I got some work to do. Not saying that that's always bad or like, you know, is wrong to want any of those things. And also, it might be a little bit trickier path to go down than when you do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I was thinking is that we all, I mean, if you ask people to make a list of their top character traits they want to have, I would bet if you gave them a list of 20 and courage was on it, most people are going to pick that yes, yes, courage, that's a character trait that I want to embrace. And yet, do they think about using your courage? I'm so glad you said it like that. It doesn't feel very good at the time because you're really battling fear at that moment. You're
Yes,
having to
yes,
not
yes.
listen to the doubt, not listen to the fear, not listen to all of that,
Yeah.
and maybe even battling shame. But yet we all say, and what do we say? Oh, that person, they're so courageous. We embrace this character trait and we revere this character trait and don't always realize it's not going to feel good in the moment. I love that you bring that out. That is such a great point. Thank you so much for being with us today. This has been super fun.
I agree. Rebecca, where can people find you if they want to engage with your work, your training opportunities, or hire you as an MC or anything like that?
Yes, MC. I am on LinkedIn, RebeccaPMurray.com. My website is just RebeccaPMurray.com. P is my father's name was Pierce, Pierce. So I pulled that in because he's always with me. I lost him at a young age. So RebeccaPMurray.com is how you would reach me.
That's so great. Thanks so much for sharing, and thanks for being here today. Everybody listening, I hope that you guys are able to incorporate some of these tips and tricks into your life to have a little bit more fun along the way and reframe so that we're always winning, always having fun. For now, we hope you guys go be freaking awesome.